I think we're also, starting to look at ways in which governments and various other forms of regulation can start to be applied, and every government in the world that is concerned by the welfare of their communities are actually looking at different forms of regulation where a particular piece of content needs to be identified as to whether it was created out of a system or whether or not it's actually legitimate. So this is really important in terms of news. We're about to enter into a all-watching worldwide U.S. election, and that's going to be awash with all sorts of content coming from all sorts of places designed to sort of create a whole lot of different impressions. I think I want to go back to a point that Greg also raised earlier. We exist in a society these days which is really not a single uniform society. It is a very large and dispersed series of echo chambers. People listen to and they talk in and they discuss amongst themselves, and they deal with media that basically tells them that whatever it is that they're starting from, whatever the position is, whatever they believe is correct. And under those circumstances, there's a danger that within those particular echo chamber environments, content which is customized to an enormous degree or personalized to an enormous degree in order to make it engaging, in order to make it persuasive, can in fact create negative consequences. Now, that's beyond really the scope of what we're talking about, but in terms of where AI can go from an ethical point of view, I think the overall rules, the overall lines that we need to be pursuing as a society are quite clear. And now it comes down to a combination of the behaviours of governments in a regulation sense, and also the responsibility of individuals in terms of how these technologies get applied to see whether or not they have negative consequences.
Simon, we invented. I'm sorry, Simon. I was just going to say we invented the car, and we got bank robberies in the U.S.
Yes.
And that led to the formation of one of the things that led to the formation of the FBI. I think we will need muscular regulation in very specific places, but doing it today when we are really unsure how these technologies will be abused. We have some early indications, and misinformation is an obvious one. Deep fakes and so on. But I do think that over-regulating early when we're not sure what we're regulating for is a mistake. So I think that there will be a tension, hopefully a healthy one, and that we'll find that the kind of right midpoint there. Europe seems to want to over-regulate. That means they won't have any significant AI companies in Europe ever, and that's their approach. U.S. much more freewheeling, and governments are struggling. Our politicians are over the age of 60. Our presidents will be 80 plus. It seems one of them the next election. So they probably don't even know what GPT is. So I'm not advocating for that approach either. But at the same time, let's be thoughtful here around what are we regulating when. And I think there are much bigger issues than deep fakes. I mean, I think it's an issue today, meaning how do we think about when very critical decisions are made by machines, when the human is actually not in the loop? Like, I want us thinking about those kinds of issues, which are probably 3 to 5 years away, but they're coming quite quickly. When organ transplant decisions are made by machines, because they'll do a better job than humans, by the way, then how do we think about that? And do we regulate that or not? I think that those to me are the more interesting and longer term, more impactful issues we have to grapple with.